Welcome back to the Lore College. I am Mr. Burns. I am your teacher, and thank you so much for continuing this journey with me. Today, my hair makes perfect sense because we are talking about Emerald. This is part 3 in our Attack of the Vine set review here at the Lore College. And, well, not to put too many spoilers out there, but I think this hat makes perfect sense. And funny enough, I got it from a thrift store yesterday for $4. I'm very proud of that, so I'm going to go ahead and show it off. And if it doesn't make sense now, if you don't get the reference, maybe you will by the end of this. So let's start. 1 cost, inkable action, scout ahead. If an opponent has more lore than you, gain 2 lore. This one's a 1 out of 5, right? If you are winning the game, it does absolutely nothing. If you are at parity, where you both have nothing in play, it does nothing. If you're at parity, where you both have a full board in play, it's not helping you break that stalemate. If you are losing and you are not at exactly 18 lore and your opponent at 19 lore, then it basically does nothing, adds nothing to the board, anything like that. So yeah, it's a 1 out of 5 for me. 1 cost, inkable, 1/2, Carl Fredrickson, quest 4/1. When you play this character, you pay 2 less for the next character named Ellie Fredrickson you play this turn. And I believe this is the only other Ellie right down here. And this one is a 2 cost uninkable 2/2 quest for 1. When you play a location, gain 1 lore. So this Ellie is not something that I'm really looking to play. I can go ahead and evaluate her now. I'll give her a 1 out of 5. I'm not sure exactly why she's uninkable because this effect is just not that strong. And this stat line is already giving up 2 points. So pretty rough what they're doing to to this amazing power couple here, right? And because of Ellie not being great, that also means Carl is not great. So we're going to have to give Carl 1 out of 5 as well. But if I'm being honest, I'm kind of relieved because I don't need to be thinking about their amazing story and how sad it is every time I'm playing a game of Disney Lorcana, right? So, all right, both of those are 1 out of 5. Rue, 1 cost, uninkable, 1/1, with ward. While you have another honey character in play, this character gains evasive. Quest for 1. So it's an ally. It is, of course, a honey character. So if you have 2 of these in play, they both have ward, they both have evasive. And that's probably one of the better case scenarios, right? Because a lot of the honey characters are, in fact, understated, right? Because they all help each other. And I'm sure that the game developers did not want them just getting absolutely out of hand, especially considering with Christopher Robin, you could play all of them in one deck, or thinking about draft and sealed and pack rush and all that stuff. So unfortunately, you can't reliably have another honey character in play as well. If you play this on turn 1 and then you play another one on turn 2, there is the possibility that your opponent just banishes that one, and then you're stuck here with a 1/1 with ward that can just get challenged down. But it is kind of powerful to have a warded character with evasive, so I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Minnie Mouse, Curious Adventurer, Hero, 1 cost, 2/2, quest for 1. It's a shift target for a very good shift that we're going to see in a later set review video. So because of that, it's just a generic 3 out of 5. Like, it's probably going to see play just because it is a decent shift target. And like I've said before, if you haven't heard it yet, if you're new here, thank you so much. I really like my shift targets to be as cheap as possible, and it's not getting any cheaper than 1, right? Next, we have Rapunzel, Escaping the Tower. So 1 cost inkable, 2/1, quest for 1, or does it? Also a princess, huge deal, as we've seen recently. So once during your turn, you may discard a card to give this character +1 lore and evasive until the start of your next turn. So it's going to have evasive on your opponent's turn. And if you are newer to Disney Lorcana, I know there's a lot of newer players coming in. The princess tagline has become more and more important as the game has gone on. There are certain cards in the game that value having princesses in your deck very much. And I really like having a 1 cost character that is still a threat later into the game. It's very rare that something like that happens. And this card can turn just all of your, unlucky bad draws into, well, I'll just gain +1 lore instantly, essentially. And it's, of course, also enabling all of the new Emerald cards that want you to discard cards from your hand. So because of this, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. It's pretty close to a 5 out of 5, but being a 2-1 right now with Eleanor's running around scares me. It really does scare me. I think that if Eleanor was not so prevalent, Eleanor is like one of the reasons people want to play Emerald. If we are in a format where Eleanor is not that big of a presence, it's a 5 out of 5. But I don't want people to get really caught off guard as they're going into this new metagame and playing a lot of characters that only have 1 willpower. So 4 out of 5. Potato, 1 cost, inkable item. This item enters play exerted. It's 5 out of 5. It is one of the most desirable cards in the set. People want their foils, and they want them now. 2 cost, inkable, piercing attack, action. Deal 2 damage, chosen character. This damage can't be reduced by resist. So this is, in most cases, placing 2 damage counters on a character, okay? It could be your own. We've seen that effect before. This one, of course, is I feel they're getting away from the placing damage counters because it became confusing with cards like the uninkable Lilo from Steel, and placing a damage counter also would not help your Merida, right? The legendary Merida. So because of that, this is dealing 2 damage and ignoring resist. So you're getting the best of both worlds. Only being 2 damage though, it's nice that it's inkable, but only being 2 damage, I'm going to give this one a 3. It's I'm talking myself down. I'm going to give this one a 2. Just the 2 damage, like you can use Angel and use any card from your hand to do this. You can use Fire the Cannons. I understand it's uninkable, but most 2-cost characters do not have 2 or less willpower nowadays. So you're almost always trading down with this, or you're hitting something that already has damage that ate one of your other characters. So we'll see. I am excited. I really like the new templating of this kind of ability. All right, we talked about Ellie. Gopher. The Honey Cook, 2 costs, uninkable, 2/2, quest for 1. This character may enter play exerted. During an opponent's turn, while this character is exerted, your other honey characters gain resist +1. So, of course, you can play Rue on turn 1. You can play this exert on turn 2. Your opponent can just go ahead and challenge this and banish it. And then they can challenge your Rue and banish it as well. I don't understand this card. I don't understand why it's uninkable. I don't know why it's only a 2/2. I don't know why it doesn't give itself resist. I feel like no matter what turn it is, you're going to play this and it's just going to be banished and do nothing on the following turn. So because of that, I'm giving this a 1 out of 5. Russell, 2 costs, 3/2, hero, quest for 1. Whenever this character quests, you may move him and one of your other characters to the same location for free. This card I find quite intriguing. Free is always really interesting. We do have a Goofy already that does this from Fabled, and I think Goofy does it better. This, of course, is a common, and it's a 2/3. I do see some utility with this. Questing with it does leave it susceptible to being challenged, so you need to get some kind of benefit for you actually moving the character there, right? And there's not that many cards that do that at the moment. And this card does nothing without a location in play. So because of that, it's a 2 out of 5. Aladdin doing his part. 2 cost, inkable, 3/2. When you play this character, you may pay 1 to banish chosen item and a quest for 1. I think this card is pretty great. It's only giving up 1 stat point, and I think importantly, the stat point is not in its strength, it's in its willpower. To have the flexibility, and we've seen this on a couple of cards. This is, again, something that started in Shimmering Skies, I believe, where you could just play a card for what it is, or if you happen to have the extra ink, or if you want to wait until you have the extra ink, you could play it and get another effect. We've seen really popular cards like Benja being played almost, forever since it's been printed. And the thing is, like, if your opponent does not have items in their deck, you're either playing an understated card on turn 3 with Benja, or you're just inking it. Whereas this one, you have the option of inking it, playing it just on 2, or saving it for 3. So flexibility is king. So I think this card's pretty good, and I'm going to give it a 3. Madam Mim Hummingbird. 2 cost, 1/1, evasive. All cards in your hand count as having inkable. Quest for 1, villain sorcerer. So people really like effects like this. We've had other effects like this, right? And uh, the problem is, if you build your deck around a card like this and then it's not in your opening hand, you almost certainly lose. It is also not strong enough to just put in your deck just like in case you draw too many uninkables. I think it's better just to build your deck in such a way that you're almost never going to get screwed on uninkables, and that you will be able to just play your cards naturally. Because paying 2 for a 1/1 with evasive that only quests for 1 is just not it right now. And because of that, I'm giving it a 1 out of 5. Kevin, Flightless Bird. Whenever this character quests, you may put this card on top of your deck. It's a 2 cost, 1/3, quest for 3, ally. And yeah, it's interesting. There are some cards that synergize with this. There's a Bruno Madrigal that you can exert and name a card, reveal top card of your deck. If it's that card, then you gain 3 lore and it goes in your hand. There's also Mike Wazowski that we've seen, that both players reveal the top card of their deck if it's character card put in your hand. So you can ensure that this is definitely, going to be on top of your deck, going to go back into your hand. We've also seen, and I've talked about it a lot with Daisy Duck and stuff like that, pre-rotation, where there's a decent strategy where you kind of just add a bunch of stats to the board and then quest over the course of 2 turns and just win the game. So the drawback really doesn't matter, because you just want a 2 cost card that quests for 3, and you're going to win the game the turn that you do get to quest with it. So I do think that this card is really interesting on its own, with none of those synergies that I have named whatsoever. It's god awful. It basically says every other turn, skip your draw, and every other turn, it has to draw again, and you have to pay 2 ink, right? And so because of that, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. But it's a card that I'd keep my eye on for sure. 2 cost, 2/2, quest for 2, copper. So this one is obviously going to be a shift target. There are other coppers in the game. However, the other coppers are not that strong. So Minnie Mouse, where I gave Minnie Mouse a 3 out of 5, and in other videos I gave other 2 cost, 2/2, quest for 2 that were good shift targets a 3 out of 5. This one, I'm not inclined to play the cards that actually shift onto it, and because of that, it's a 2 out of 5. And I know that might not seem like the biggest deal ever, but these are the types of things that the really good or the most winningest players are thinking about when they're building their decks. And it's something that I think everyone out there should also think about, even if it does not affect the deck that they are building at the moment. You just never know what characters are going to be printed, what shift targets are going to be printed, in what ink combinations you like to play. So all right, Mother Gothel, evil as ever. 2 costs, uninkable, 3/3. During your turn, whenever you discard this card, you may play this character from your discard. You pay all costs. Quest for 1, and it's a villain. So, not a huge fan of this card. I know a lot of people are really excited about this card, but a 2 cost 3/3 is already on rate, but inkable typically, right? So the fact that when you discard this card, and it's only during your turn, so it's not like, haha, got you, shouldn't have played that sudden chill, I get to play a card now. Because it's only when you discard this card, that means that you need some kind of effect where you would already want to play it and you are discarding a card. There are some of those. There's Strike a Good Match. 2 costs, inkable song. Draw 2 cards, discard a card. Of course, we saw this Rapunzel right here. On turn 1, you can play Rapunzel. On turn 2, you can play Mother Gothel. Absolutely. We have Angel that you can discard a card, deal 2 damage. So I don't think that this card is a bad card, but I feel like a lot of people are rating this like a 5 out of 5. And this is not a big enough benefit, in my opinion, for people to just be jamming cards. Like, I'm seeing people playing cards that you have to discard to play them and stuff like that, that were just never good. And they're not going to be good just because you also get to play a vanilla 3/3 that quests for 1. So I think this is just a decent middle of the road card. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. 3 costs, Buzz Lightyear, Captain, Toy and Hero, 4/4, quest for 1. This character can't gain evasive. So thematically, awesome, right? It's tangled in the vine. Of course, can't get away, can't gain evasive. Missing an arm, it's going to be hard to fly with that one, or, falling in style, of course, if you're Buzz Lightyear. So we already have 3 cost 4/4s with no drawbacks, so this is obviously strictly worse than those. But you almost certainly weren't giving those cards evasive either, so this kind of doesn't matter, and it's just a fun thematical thing, and I love that the developers, put that in the game for us. So because of that, it's just an average, normal card, except slightly worse. It is a toy, so that's nice. If you just need a 3 cost toy, this is probably one of the better ones. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Todd, 3 cost, inkable, 1/2. When you play this character, draw 2 cards, then choose and discard a card. So this is another great example of a card that works with Mother Gothel. So here we go. Oh, look at that. We can look at it as foil. So 3 cost, 1/2, quest for 1, draw 2, discard a card. So you pay 3 ink, and then you pay another 2 ink to play this. So we have paid 5 ink, and we have made ourselves a 4/5 that quests for 2. But we've also drawn 2 cards, and we had to have both of these cards together. Okay, so this is just another example of like the Mother Gothel is not getting us that much of an advantage. Where I really like to see Todd is in something like a Circle of Life deck, or something in maybe an Olaf deck, something that we already want the cards in our discard pile. So the fact that we're losing a card doesn't matter. It's actually beneficial that we're losing that card. I would rather discard a Stitch and then Circle of Life it back into play on turn 4 than wait till turn 5 to draw 2 cards off this and play a Mother Gothel. So because of that, I actually think Todd is great, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because on its own, not good almost at all. But if you play a 1-drop, you play something like Mirabelle. If you play 2 costs like Ursula, the 1/4 that has Singer +2, so it's a Singer 4, and then you play this, or any 1-drop, it doesn't actually have to have Singer, then you're going to have Circle of Life online with the card in your discard pile on turn 4, and I think that's very strong. So, yep, 3 out of 5. Peter Pan, 3 costs, uninkable, 1/3. Whenever one of your Floodborn characters is challenged, the challenging player chooses and discards a card. Now, this is a Vineling, so it is also a Floodborn character, even though it does not have Shift. That's something that was introduced in this set as an actual theme, right? We have had one character in the before in previous set that was a Floodborn that did not have Shift, but it's actually a theme here, and you're being rewarded for it. So it does include itself. And so it's just kind of an underpowered, Flynn Rider from set 1. And because of that, because it's uninkable, because it's so easy to deal with characters that have such a low strength and such a low willpower, honestly, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Like, you could still catch someone off guard, probably have to be on the play. Otherwise, it's just so low impact to the board. But yeah, it's still a fine card. Just not something that I'm looking to put in my decks personally. Mushu, got a legendary. 3 cost, inkable, 3/2, with evasive. He is an ally, he is a dragon, he quests for 1, and whenever this character quests, if an opponent has more cards in hand than you, you may draw a card. So this card does not pass the angel test. It does not pass the fire of the cannons test. It does not pass most removal tests, right? It is still being played during the setup phase. I love that it's evasive, because you could actually, use it in a deck with like Dumbo or something like that. So instead of questing to gain a lore, this is a joke, by the way. I should say this ahead of time. Instead of questing to gain a lore and draw a card, you can instead pay 1 ink to gain a lore and draw a card. Yeah, Mushu, I'm not really high on. I know a lot of people are. It's going to be a card that will help you in these decks that you want to discard cards from your hand, right? I'm not sure that those decks are going to be tier 1, but any card that says draw a card is going to be a card that you have to take a second look at. So I'm going to give Mushu like a middle of the road 3 out of 5. I don't think it's as good as some other people are hyping it up to be. I think people are just like really excited about the newer, wanting to play the newest cards, especially the legendary ones. Let's see. My adventure book, 3 cost inkable item. Pay 1 and exert. Reveal the top card of your deck if it's a non-character card or a character card named Kevin. Put it in your hand. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. So, of course, this works with the Kevin that's right here. The one that whenever you quest, put on top of your deck. But paying 4 ink to draw a card, and if you have multiples of this card in your deck, you're not guaranteed to draw the card unless you quested with Kevin. And it's not even on curve because you play Kevin on 2. You want to quest with it on 3? Well, no, on 3 you don't have the 1 extra ink to actually pay for this effect. So I think this card is insanely too slow. I think that any of these items that don't have like an immediate impact have historically not been great, except for Webby's Diary, and that's because the cards that Webby's Diary works with also stops your opponent from questing. The cards that this work with do not. So your opponent can just run you over while you're like slowly gaining the worst card advantage engine of all time. So because that, it's a 1 out of 5. To wither a flower, 4 cost song, uninkable, deal 2 damage each opposing damage character. This is a 1 out of 5. I don't even know if I have to explain it to everyone. What if none of their characters are damaged? It does nothing. What if I play a Tinkerbell and I damage all of my opponent's characters? If you play a Tinkerbell, you're like super crushing it probably, right? Like Tinkerbell is just a good card. We don't have to add mediocre cards to our deck to make them better. I can keep going. It's just not good. It's way too situational. Not good on the setup. Not good when you're winning. Not good at parity. It's just, yeah, 1 out of 5. All right, put that thing back. 4 cost inkable song. Return chosen character or item to their player's hand. Now this one is great. This is a 4-cost song that I would love to put in my deck, right? It's a Mother Knows Best, except it also includes items. So it's probably just better than Mother Knows Best. Yes, it costs 25% more ink, but it can do items. There are things that you can do on your own. You can, of course, always return your own things. So you can return an item to your own hand, reuse it. You can return your own character to your hand. You can ink it when it's bad, which is why Mother Gothel has completely like fallen off the face of the earth. And we have seen, of course, that putting cards back in our opponent's hand, we can also abuse with cards that say, like, for instance, Mushu, that if your opponent has more cards in their hand, you may draw a card. There is a Duel Link Woody and Buzz that we're going to talk about where we draw cards equal to the difference between our hand and our opponent's hand. So if we're going -1 to play a song, they're going +1 because their character goes back to the hand. We're getting great advantage out of that, right? So I think this card is a great card. It's not like an all-star reason to play Emerald, but it's a really solid card. So it's a 3 out of 5. All right, Buzz Lightyear. 4 costs, uninkable, 4/2, quest for 2, toy captain hero. When you play this character, choose one of the following. If you have another toy character in play, you may choose both instead. So this is a lot like that Woody we saw in the Amber review. And that Woody was one of the best cards that I rated in Amber. This one, unfortunately, is not going to be, in my opinion. Being a 4/2 is rough. I think it's banished very easily. Again, doesn't pass the angel test, right? But at least it gets immediate effect if it is going to be banished. However, that immediate effect I don't think is worth it. So the effects are: you may return an action card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. You may play an action card 2 or less for free. And there's just not that many high impact action cards in the game that cost 2 or less. Strike a Good Match is one of the best ones. Of course, it doesn't have to be a song. You could always just play a 2 cost, removal spell, deal damage on turn 2, and then play it again on turn 4. And hopefully that's good enough. I don't know. Those two combined may have taken out a character that costs 2 or 3. So is that good enough? Probably not. When you quest with this, it's almost certainly being banished by a 1-drop. I know people are really high on this card as well. I really, really think that's just because people love the character, as do I, right? I just took my kids to see Toy Story 5, but I'm having a tough time wanting to play an uninkable 4-drop in my toy deck as well, right? So I'm going to give Buzz Lightyear a 2 out of 5. It's not the worst card. I do think it's below average though. Rapunzel, 4 cost 3/3. Hero Princess. Quest for 1. When you play this character, you may choose and discard a card. If you do, return chosen character to their player's hand. This card is great with Put That Thing Back. This card is also great with Buzz and Woody, because you're lessening the number of cards in your hand and you're increasing the number of cards in your opponent's hand. You could easily, have a Buzz or Woody in play Rapunzel, return something in hand. Next turn, she can sing Put That Thing Back, right? And then you can shift your Buzz and Woody. I think that this card is a great tempo play. The fact that it's a princess is interesting. You can quest with your Auroras, play this on turn 3, hopefully return one of their only characters back to their hand, and then they're not challenging your Aurora. All of a sudden, you have a Singer 4 that's a 3/3 in play. So I think that this is just a very, very solid card. If we are in a metagame where people are playing up the curve, they're not cheating out a bunch of characters on multiple turns, just returning a 3-cost card to your opponent's hand, when are they going to play it again, right? If they play it on turn 4, they're losing huge tempo by not playing a 4-drop. Same for turn 5, same for turn 6. At some point, they are most likely going to either ink it or have a mediocre turn where they play 2 low-cost cards. So I think this card's pretty solid. 3 out of 5. Todd and Copper. 4 costs, 3/3, quest for 2. Shift 2, evasive. So this card's on rate. This card is on rate with the Genie that we saw back in Amethyst. But it also has shift, so I'm assuming that's also why it's a rare. We should mention that it is a team, of course. It's a hero, and it's a puppy. So if there's any puppy synergies out there, the game developers told me that there is none. That's when I was able to interview them for the Whispers in the Well main stage. They said that won't come up, and I told them I will try to find a way. But yeah, the cards that you want to shift on are like not much worse than this card, because this card's just an on average, like it's just an average 1-rate card. So because of that, it's just 3 out of 5. It's nothing special, nothing bad. 4 cost, uninkable Vine Pod. This item enters play exerted. Exert, pay 1, banish chosen character of yours. You may play a character with the same name as that character for free. So the turn that you play this, you're essentially skipping your entire turn, and you're hoping it does not get banished. It's also an uninkable, so you have to play it. Even if your opponent has, they have Benjas in their deck, they have Aladdins in their deck, doesn't matter. You have to play this card or find a way to discard it from your hand. Otherwise, you're just getting no value from it. It is possible that you banish, a random 1-cost character like Mickey Mouse and then play a 10-cost Mickey Mouse or something crazy like that, right? So because of that, I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. Otherwise, it would be a 1 out of 5, but it's pretty medium. Let's see. Paradise Falls, 4 cost, inkable, 2 to move, 7 willpower, has 1 more naturally. It also has, while you have a character here, this location gets +3 lore. So there is one reason that I would put this card in my deck, and that card is Touch the Sky. It's a 2-cost song. It's in steel. Move a character of yours to a location for free, then draw cards equal to that location's lore. So it only has 1 lore printed on it, but of course you move a character here and all of a sudden it has 4. So you can sing this, move the character to the location, draw 4 cards. That's pretty good. But neither of these cards really stand on their own. So I'm not saying like you should do that. But if I had to play Paradise Falls, I would definitely pair it with Touch the Sky. This is just a medium card, otherwise, in my opinion. I think 7 is a lot easier to deal with, and I think we've seen that because we haven't seen, better rate cards like Casa Madrigal being played in Core Constructed, whereas we used to see cards like McDuck Manor. I will go on record, I think if they reprinted McDuck Manor, it would not be the biggest problem like it was previously because all of the characters have gotten this stat boost. So because of that, I'll give Paradise Falls a 2 out of 5. But if you are interested in playing a fun combo deck, Touch the Sky might be the card for you. All right, now we have Russell, Senior Wilderness Explorer, 5-cost inkable, 3/5, shift 3, quest for 1 naturally. Your characters at locations get +1 strength, and then whenever one of your characters with 4 strength or more quests, gain 1 lore. It's an interesting card. You can naturally play things that have 4 strength. You don't need any characters in your deck, and then you can just play this and quest for exponentially more lore than your opponent was expecting you to. However, I don't play cards in my deck that are win conditions, and that's the only purpose they serve. That is going to be its own lesson video in the future. Don't worry. But TLDR is I want all of my cards to gain me some kind of incremental advantage, and then throughout the game, those incremental advantages will put me ahead of my opponent, and I'll naturally win the game. I don't need to play something that's going to really like catch my opponent off guard to win the game. I should be playing well each turn of the game and constructing my deck in such a way where I'm gaining small advantages. So that's a little sneak peek for that one. So Russell, I do see the utility. I do think that is somewhat interesting. So I will give it a 2 out of 5. It's not just unplayable. Dr. Bushroot, 5-cost, inkable, 4/3 with ward. I don't know how many Emerald 5-cost ward characters we need that quest for 3. I feel like they're going to print a card that's like all of your 5-cost Emerald characters that quest for 3 that have ward do something. Like if you you could play any character that costs 5 that is Emerald that has ward that quests for 3 this turn. It's insane. But anyway, whenever this character is challenged, chosen opponent chooses and discards a card. It's most likely only going to need 1 character to banish it, so they are probably discarding 1 card. Ward is always scary, so I can't say that this is a bad card, but it's also like just fine. None of those other cards are really seeing play outside of like the Sapphire ones. Actually, like people would rather play Scuttle, which is a 5-cost 5/5 that only quests for 2 with Ward versus this. So I am going to just give this like a medium 3 out of 5. I definitely would not fault anyone for playing it because it's so easy. Well, it's not so easy, but or everyone would be doing it. It's so often that you could just get really close to winning the game, slam this, and your opponent has no recourse whatsoever. It's Demona or bust, right? And yeah, because of that, it's still always going to be a threat, even if it's not the kind of card and the kind of game plan that I want coming into it. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful with it. I should also mention the amount of people who are like, what is this character from when he is in the first episode of the show that he's from is hilarious. Let's see, 6-cost, inkable, 6/6, quest for 2 with ward. So significantly worse. I would rather have Dr. Bushroot. which is sad because I love all of the elephants from Jungle Book. I was literally watching the music video for Bare Necessities 2 days ago on my TV. I absolutely love the Jungle Book. I've loved it ever since I was a kid. I used to call my daughter Mowgli when she was crawling around because sometimes she would crawl on her hands and feet instead of her knees. But unfortunately, an elephant never forgets. But I may have to forget this elephant. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. And then we have a 6 cost, 6/7 quest for 2. And it's a monster. So that's interesting. Maybe there's some kind of monster synergy there. Otherwise, it is so generic. But I will love it in draft. And if you want to hear more about my draft thoughts, I'm going to be recording tonight. I don't know when it'll be uploaded. You don't know when I recorded this, but I'll be recording with the Mad Drafter over on his YouTube channel. So we are doing cards that cost 6 or more. So I'll be talking about how much I love these even more over there in a limited sense. However, for core constructed, it's just so generic and it's a 2 out of 5. And then we have Posey. I'm not going to have a pocket full of these because I don't think it could fit in my pocket. 7 cost, inkable, 7/8, potato shift 5, quest for 2. Potatoes are in fact broken. We can see Dr. Bushroot all the way back there. However, I don't like generic cards that only quest, only potentially try to win the game, stuff like that, that costs this much. Because of it, it's just another, generic card just like this one. It is a 2 out of 5. And that's going to be it. So someone, Dethan, Dthan 89, asked me if I could put up a tier list. And I'm not even positive if this is accurate because I made this a couple days ago. And while I am going through, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, while I'm going through and reading them out loud, I'm getting like a totally different perspective on some of these cards. And so I didn't want to record the video and then make the tier list. Funny enough, I actually wanted to make the tier list ahead. And then you guys can see if I have like talked my way through to having a different perspective on the card, or if I went ahead and locked in what I was thinking ahead of time. I also put them in order. So the card all the way to the left is the closest to going to the next tier. The card all the way to the right is the closest to falling down a tier. So yeah, I'm not embarrassed if they are completely different because, again, I think that that's actually kind of an important thing that I think everyone should think about. And it's something that, I actually had a comment recently saying like they think I misevaluated a card. And I hope so. I really do hope so, because that means that the notions I had right now, I'm going to learn from, right? I think that none of this is gospel as much as, I'm the teacher and you are my student. Thank you so much for being here. That doesn't mean I can't learn from you as well. And that's one of the great benefits of having this channel. I think that that's also one of the great benefits of being a part of a community instead of keeping these things to yourself and getting in an echo chamber. I really would love to be corrected on here about anything whatsoever. That's going to, get me to a better place in the game. And that's going to, in turn, get all the listeners to a better place in the game as well. It's called a rubber band effect, which is in my notes for a future video topic. I've got 50 or so notes, so you're going to hear that a lot. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much. I'll have this up as soon as possible, and I'll get right to work on the Ruby one. So check out that playlist.